Liberal and conservative groups plan to put pressure on lawmakers in the wake of President Obama's Supreme Court nomination. On Monday, MoveOn.org is planning a national day of action, hosting more than 50 pro-confirmation events outside local Senate offices across the country. 5 of those events are either targeting senators up for re-election or prominent members of the Judiciary Committee. Meanwhile, the conservative group Judicial Crisis Network is spending $2 million on a new round of ads aimed at blocking Garland's nomination. Joining me now to discuss are Amy Howe of SCOTUSblog.com and Jason Ronson, politics editor at The Root. Good morning to both of you. Thank you very much for joining us. Amy, if I can begin with you, a new NBC survey monkey poll released this week shows that 61% of Americans believe Congress should hold a vote now on Judge Garland's nomination, and 60% approve of President Obama's nomination. Is there a scenario in which the Republican Party's line changes on this?
I don't think that there is. I think that you may see some individual senators peel off the way Senator Mark Kirk of Illinois has, for example, but I think that the Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell and Senator Grassley, the chair of the Senate Judiciary Committee, have drawn such a line in the sand that I think it would be hard for them to backtrack. And I think they will have very strong support from the Republican base, who care an awful lot about the Second Amendment and abortion.
Jason, on Friday, Senator Mark Kirk became the first Republican senator to call for a vote on Merrick Garland's nomination after pressure from some of these outside groups that we just listed. Progressives are targeting him and 5 other senators in tough re-election battles that they're currently going through ahead of November. If you're Kelly Ayotte or Rob Portman, what is your next move on this, you think?
Your next move is to basically stall. Your next move is to basically stall as long as you can. Look, a lot of these Republicans, certainly in blue states, they were delusional if they thought that this was not going to become a campaign issue. But you also got to remember, these guys are worried about being primaried. They've got concerns that the kid gloves are going to be off and that some right-wing person is going to come out and attack them. So if I were them, if I was a Republican in a blue state right now, I would be stalling, I would be delaying, I would be sort of listening to the vibrations on the ground saying, okay, is anyone going to challenge me? Because you do not want a situation where you inspire the ire and the anger of the right-wing part of your party or the anger of Mitch McConnell.
Senator Mitch McConnell was on Meet the Press this morning. I want to play you this soundbite and then get your reaction to it.
Happened in 80 years, and it won't happen this year. The principle involved here, Chuck, when an election's underway, as Joe Biden was talking in 1992, when an election's underway, the American people are about to weigh in on who's going to be the president. And that's the person, whoever that may be, who ought to be making this appointment.
Are you completely ruling out a lame duck scenario if Hillary Clinton wins the November election?
Yes. We're not going to be confirming a judge to the Supreme Court under this
even if it means Hillary Clinton nominates somebody even more liberal than Merrick Garland?
Well, it's my hope. It'd be hard to be more liberal than Merrick Garland, but it's my hope that, that she will not be making the appointment.
Amy, I mean, really, just a few points. One, his comment there that it's hard to be more liberal than Merrick Garland. Does that actually hold up under scrutiny?
I don't think so at all. I mean, Judge Garland has been on the D.C. Circuit for 19 years, and so he has a long track record. And particularly if you look at issues like criminal law, where he's a former government prosecutor, he's not that liberal at all. So I think the idea that it would be hard to be more liberal than Merrick Garland is not actually that credible.
Jason, and let me ask you about the Biden rule. Obviously, we heard there that the comment that Senator McConnell made about that no judge has been confirmed in the final year of a sitting president, and that's something that was also echoed by back then Senator Joe Biden. Does that also hold up? Is that argument a valid argument?
No. I mean, look, McConnell's got to go back to like ancient Technicolor black and white days to sort of justify the nonsense he's engaging in. And I want to make this very clear. What the Republicans in the Senate are doing right now, it is constitutional. They can decide that they're not going to hold a vote, which is why a lot of my frustration has been with President Obama. During the week after Scalia died, the Senate was in full recess. He could have just put an appointment in there. He could have said, look, it is more important that we make sure that we have a functioning court rather than playing these ridiculous political games with the Republican Party right now. But instead, the president has almost allowed this situation to happen. He knew the Republicans were going to try and obstruct him. He probably should have appointed someone who would at least be there until the end of the year, because none of their arguments are going to hold up, but the entire nation is going to have to suffer with a 4-4 court, possibly for another year.
And it's certainly something that will drag on. Amy Howe and Jason Johnson, thank you both for joining us this Sunday morning.
Thank you.
Donald Trump, not the first Republican frontrunner to cause panic for the GOP establishment. Is Trump the 2016 version of Barry Goldwater? We're going to talk about that when we come back right after the break.